leave a review.
I am a raging patriot. Welcome to KSok Uncensored. I have a special guest today, Kenny Pastén. I hope I'm saying that right. He'll probably correct me once he comes on. But before we bring Kenny on live, I want to talk to you guys about something. I just put a rant video out, and I'm sure that I'll get a lot of comments on it. But you know what's funny? Here in Portland, the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, he had the gall to do a revitalization party downtown Portland today. And he was talking about how they're revitalizing Portland because of everything that happened following COVID. I did a video, tagged him and the entire city council, and I told them, how dare you have a revitalization party when you look around and it's nothing but homeless camps, vandalization. It's absolutely disgusting. It's a cesspool. Crime has skyrocketed. Murders are up 800%. And the list goes on. But he had the gall to have a revitalization party today. I was just completely appalled. I told him to stop sucking off the left. It doesn't get you anywhere. Oh, and he's pandering to people that don't even pay taxes. But that's typical for the left, right? They just want them dependent on the government. Well, what I want to do today is I'm going to go ahead and bring Kenny in early because you guys need to go check my rant out. It's just 2 minutes. I posted it on YouTube, Instagram. It's going to be on TikTok later this evening. Speaking of, if you follow me on TikTok right now, I decided to start a new account because mine has been shadow banned and it's not getting anywhere near the views that it once did because they've perma shadow banned my second account. So I've started a third, and it's KSok Uncensored. I've dropped the lower 48 for TikTok. Anyways, please go and check me out. Follow me there. If you're on TikTok already, I would really appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Kenny. Hey, okay, did I slaughter your last name?
It's a little bit.
I know
it's Pastén.
What?
It's Pastén.
I knew. You know what? I'm just really white. That's the problem. And I'm like, I can do a Johnson, a Smith, a Scott, but yeah, my husband makes fun of me all the time because he's from New York and they're a little more cultured there. But yeah, sorry about that, but hey, Bruno.
Don't worry.
Oh, anyways, I'm so happy to have you on. And you and I, we've been following each other for a long time. I would say maybe even a year at this point in time. And
I think it's been just over a year because it was like right at the beginning of COVID, or right, like I want to say it was like March or April. So yeah, it's been a while.
Crazy. Well, I'm happy that you are on today and lots to go over. But first, okay, you reside in the state of California, correct?
I'm from California. I'm currently on orders out here in Maryland.
Okay.
So I'm
you're
still pretty active in things going on in California, and if anyone shares. So what I try to do is I try to spread the word as much as possible. So if someone in California, knows of a rally or some sort of meetup or something going on important to California, they send it to me, and then I pass it along in my on my story, or I have a few different group chats going on Instagram that we share information.
Well, I want to hear about, because the first you and I had talked, you were setting up a MAGA hike in California. How did that end up going? Obviously, I wasn't able to make it, but I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, really well. So yeah, this was me trying to rally people together and get something going and spread patriotism in Los Angeles. And I had so many people message me, and what the greatest part was, I had a lot of people send me messages saying, I've never actually been to any Trump related events. I've never been to any conservative meetups or anything like that. I'm afraid because I won't know anyone. And I said, you and everybody else, because not a lot of people are doing things in Los Angeles. Not a lot of people are getting together in large groups. Mind you, this was almost a year ago. Really before Huntington Beach was putting up large numbers, and right around the time that Beverly Hills rallies was also picking up. So I had so many people. I want to say at least 50 people messaged me saying that they were going to come, and it was going to be their first time, meeting any fellow conservatives in California. And I want to say, give or take, about 300-400 people showed up.
Wow.
Many more couldn't even actually get on the hike because it's Los Angeles and traffic is the worst and parking is even worse. So what I ended up having to do is I started telling people, hey, there's no parking here. Park at a grocery store and I will personally come pick you up. And I became a little shuttle bus, and people parked in the different grocery stores in Hollywood, and I just went and picked them up and shuttled people up onto the mountain. But a lot of people, they ended up just saying, hey, I was driving around for an hour and I couldn't find parking, so I just left. So that was unfortunate, but we still had a very large group. I still talk to a lot of those people today, and a lot of them are still active, going to the different rallies and stuff.
Well, I think that's great because, like, similar to here in Portland, you feel really alone. And it's almost, I know when I went to my first MAGA rally here, I was anxious because I had this feeling we were going to be met with Antifa. And thankfully, the one that I attended, we only had a few, I'm sure they were like 16, 17-year-olds that were there protesting, and they were very peaceful, as they like to say. These two truly were. But I had anxiety. I felt I was looking over my shoulder constantly. I feel like maybe on a hike it's a little different, but when you're in a parking lot or some type of event like that, when you're out in the open, you feel like a potential target. And
it was funny because we showed up, and then all of a sudden it was like a movie. People were like coming out from behind the bushes or like from between cars to like, you got MAGA, and everyone was like, they're like, hey, come on, and like people were just like coming out of the woodwork. It was the funniest thing ever.
I could totally see that happening.
And that's happened a couple of times when I put on events. I put on an event down at the Huntington Beach rally right after things had gotten crazy in DC, and I was out there by myself, just me, with my flag, and then all of a sudden a couple of people saw me, and then they ran out from behind buildings, and then a few more people started coming out, and it was just like a whole avalanche of because nobody wants to be the first one. Nobody wants to be the one out there by themselves and being the target. And somebody's got to do it.
I get it. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny. The event that I was talking about, I actually, my friend and I were meeting there, and she just happened to get there before me. And I was like, I called her. I'm like, hey, is it safe? Like I totally just threw her to the wolves. But anyways, yeah. So I feel like a lot of people feel that way. And it's so great that you're doing that, and more people, it's fostering this environment where people are feeling more and more comfortable not being this silent majority. Now, on that topic, as you know, my husband's a police officer, and just recently he was on duty, and this gentleman said, hey, just so you know, the silent majority appreciates you. And my husband was like, hey, thank you. And then, but he was thinking to himself, you know what, how about this is the time to stop being silent. Like you're not helping us at all. Like, thank you for the appreciation, because that's a heck of a lot more than he generally gets. But the silent majority, I'm so over that. It's like, get some balls, hit the streets, and make a change. We see people all over the country, all over the world, protesting against vaccine passports and COVID lockdowns. And I feel like it's crickets here in comparison. And it's really unfortunate. We're like, oh yeah, go Cuba, go Cuba. But we're not even standing up for our own people. What about the people from January 6th that are still locked up? So anyways, it's just one of those, I'm glad that you are actively making a difference and fostering that in other people that maybe wouldn't be doing that on their own. So I appreciate that.
I try. I'm not a one-man show. I have my little Southern California Patriots group that we all share information, and if we can connect people, the more the better. A lot of my friends went down to the We Spa thing in downtown LA. So
I saw that.
Yeah, we need to get boots on the ground, and like you said, people need to stand up and be present. But it's rough, especially like someone that's single. They don't want to put on their bio on their Instagram or their Twitter or even their Tinder or Bumble or whatever apps they might have, that they're conservative. But with the other people, it's quite the opposite. With them, they're like, especially here in the DC area, everyone puts on their fully vaxxed or like Moderna gang or, like living that Pfizer life or just random dumb things like that. And like, God. Yeah, it's so insane. It's so insane. But yeah, I mean, like
apps so I can make fun of them.
Yeah, hey, get a Tinder account and just laugh at people.
Sorry, Kenny. I have a few Oregonians on here today. I have Grants Pass, Oregon, which is down by California. Earlier, I feel like I had somebody from the Salem area. And now I have my friend, sorry, I won't say his name, Royal here, who's telling me that he finally got a notification. So maybe I'm slightly out of shadow ban jail. We'll see. But so that's exciting. Everyone's been saying I don't even get notified when your show goes live. Like I have so many people that they're doing it on purpose. I'm not stupid, but yeah, it's funny. I was smirking while you were talking about the dating piece because, oh my gosh, last week I had the conservative Korean on, or Korean conservative, excuse me. Oh my gosh. And he was talking about
him and I actually met at the Huntington Beach rally.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. He just cracks me up, but he was talking about, as you probably saw, that very thing where he's guilty of not putting conservative on intentionally so that he could continue. I won't go into the description he used, but so that he could continue to actively date, let's just say. Massachusetts, all right. But anyways, that's a real issue. That's a real issue. But you know what? What I say is you don't want to date people that are that ignorant. You don't want sheep liking you anyways, right? Like it's just
I don't know. Have you ever heard the term flirt to convert?
Oh my gosh. You know what? Do you think that people can actually be converted? I mean, unless you're going for like the 18 and under crowd, then maybe they can still be indoctrinated. And
no,
like red pill.
I've dated a few liberals that hanging out and coming out to events and hearing my point of views definitely has turned them around.
Really?
So it's a real thing. But all you can do is your part, right? I mean, every little bit helps, every little baby steps. So yeah, like you said, you just got to be present. You got to show your presence and let people know who you are and what you're about.
I like that. All right. I'm very close-minded. If someone told me they were a liberal, I'd say, get the hell out of my face. But I'm married and I guess I have the ability to do that now. But yeah, good for you.
You don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
If the flirt to convert works for you, I mean, back in my single days, I had I almost said Trump, a Bush sticker on my truck. And I did get quite a few dates from that because they loved that this chick's driving a truck around with a big old Bush sticker. But so I've always been pretty particular. I mean, I'm one of those people on the first date. I was like, do you believe in God? Are you a conservative? I mean, I wanted to let's just get this out there. Do you have a prepaid cell phone? If you you. Don't talk to me because that means you have bad credit. And then someday, if we want to buy a house together and you have bad credit, I'm not gonna co-sign for your ass. Like, you have to pull your weight. So, anyways, I was a nightmare to date, but thankfully, I found someone. But anyways, I digress. All right, Kenny, you do some pretty interesting photography, and I know that people on the line here very well may enjoy these few images that we are going to share. Go ahead, Juan. Might be stuck on that image. I love this. This one's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that was done in Texas. This is the
I wonder I like it.
Texas Cavalry Airborne 174th Airborne.
You know what? The gentleman without the hat on. Sorry, I'm sure they're not called hats. But anyways, something about him really stands out to me. Like, it's like that. He really drives an emotion. I know that sounds.
You mean
cheesy.
the guy on the knee, without the helmet on?
Yes. Helmet. Thank you. Yeah, the one without the helmet on. Yeah. I feel like he's driving.
Yeah, when I'm out in a scene, I try to have that photographer eye and, like, what am I trying to tell here? What's the story here? And when I saw him, and it's something like, in photographic terms, is pattern with a break. So if you see the pattern here is everyone is standing and they have a helmet, and then you have that sudden break of that one person down on a knee, watching intently, but doesn't have a helmet on, and that definitely breaks up that pattern and makes him the sole focus of that image. Actually, just a tiny little story there is part of the reason why he wasn't wearing a helmet is because he had just hurt himself doing this training, and he was he hit his head, and so he was a little dazed, and they told him to just take it easy, take a knee, and take off your helmet, but still pay attention to the training, because he's what's called a paratrooper, a fellow paratrooper. So we jump out of planes, and so it's dangerous work, and he ended up getting injured. And then actually on the jump itself, his parachute had a malfunction, and he ended up getting injured again. No serious damage or permanent damage, but his parachute didn't open up completely on the drop, and at the very last minute he pulled his reserve, and thankfully he didn't explode on impact. So,
oh my goodness gracious. Oh, there we go. So, okay, so you guys, this is and she's beautiful. Like, and I like that her gun matches her thong, I must say. I did enjoy the matchiness there. And so, okay, I need to know. I know you're a photographer and you photograph many different things, but I'd love to know how you got into what I would consider risque photography.
So the style is called Boudoir, and it's essentially the process of dress and undress, and like the origins are like pinup, right? So like it originally started with like sexy pictures to send to your soldier. So originally it was like pinup, and then it kind of evolved with the times and stuff like that. You see that a lot in a wedding photography, like the day you're getting married, and you have a whole team of people helping you get dressed into that very fancy dress. That's essentially boudoir. The process of dressing or undressing, and it's supposed to be like a voyeuristic. So you're just in your moment, in your element, and you don't really interact with the camera necessarily. And I'd like to think that most of my work is me just capturing beautiful moments and not necessarily staged or posed pictures. Sometimes, the models need a little guidance, and they're like, like the whole Anchorman. I don't know what to do with my hands, But
That would be me. I would be so awkward. Yeah. 3 weeks. But if you guys want to check out, let's give you a plug right now because you have some great pictures. You have a ton of pictures on your page. Can you go ahead and just let everyone know what your Instagram handle is?
So my Instagram is my full name, so it's Kenny, Kenny, B for Brian, and then my last name Pastén, Pasten. And then I also have a website, which is kpboudoir.com.
Awesome. Very cool. How long have you been doing Boudoir? Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, technically it's boudoir, but nobody really says it like that here in America. It's a French word.
Right.
But I've been doing boudoir for, I want to say, around like mid 2017. Yeah, around mid 2017. I originally started doing photography in 2016, but I guess that's a whole nother story.
Well, would you like to dive into what got you started? Just a quick little
Sure. Yeah, the little the origin story.
Yes, I love an origin.
Yeah, so I was active duty Army before, and when I came home to Los Angeles, it's a very liberal place, and people are not very military friendly, and it was pretty rough. To be quite honest, I had applied for different jobs, and nobody wanted to hire me. I kept going to a ton of different interviews, and it was because I would talk about my time in the military, because to that point it was like most of my adult experience was being in the Army, and so the interviewers would ask me, "Oh, what's it like to kill people? What's it like getting shot at? What's it like getting blown up? All the really stupid, inappropriate questions." And then they would never offer me a job. And I went to something like, I think it was a year and a half of job hunting, and I just could not find a job. I became homeless, and I was living in my car.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was pretty rough.
That
but
pisses me off that our veterans are treated this way. It's so wrong. Sorry for the interruption. Just lights me up.
No. Yeah, it's really sad. In Los Angeles, we have such a problem with it. We have over 70,000 homeless people, and 70% of those homeless people are veterans, and that just goes to show that the system that the promises made on behalf of the country are not being held up. They always say, if you take care of your country will take care of you. Well, it just was not my experience, and a lot of people feel the same way. Things got a little bit better under President Trump, but yeah, going back to that, I was homeless, and someone was like, "Hey, I know you really like animals. Would you watch my dog for me?" And so I watched their dog. I took care of their dog while they went on a trip. I stayed at their house. I did pet sitting, and so that was like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is a thing. And so I got into pet sitting. I started my own pet sitting company named Rexitron.com. That's REXITRON.com. And I started doing pet sitting, and I did a whole bunch of pet sitting, and then I started doing dog walking, and then somebody was like, "Well, can you do doggy daycare?" And I was like, I didn't want to say no, because you never want to say no to a client, but yeah, I was like, well, what do I do here? Because I don't have a house. I don't have a home to take this dog, to do doggy daycare. So I came up with the ingenious idea of dog hikes. So I said, actually, what I'm doing instead of doggy daycare is I'm taking dogs on hikes. So I would take a whole pack of dogs. I would take something like 7 or 8 dogs on a hike throughout Los Angeles, and we'd spend the whole day. So we'd spend the whole day, which would be the same as doggy daycare.
Oh
And
my God.
while I was out there, yeah, and if you go back into my Instagram a couple years, you can see I used to wear a rock climbing harness, and I would attach all the dog leashes to the rock climbing harness instead of being like the dog walkers that you see with like 50
Yeah.
leashes and dogs in every direction. Yeah, I had them tied into my waist, and we'd go for a run or a hike up the mountain. And while I was doing that, I would do pictures. I started out taking pictures with my phone with the dogs, and I would like have them sit, and I'd have them up against a river or a waterfall, or sometimes with the smaller dogs, I would put them up in trees, and I would like totally pose them, and that's how I got into it is
God,
dog photography. And
how
then
random.
yeah, and then my ex-wife now, but current wife at the time, gifted me a camera for my birthday, and I started learning on that, and I did a lot of YouTube videos and learned from there. But then actually, how I got into Boudoir was because one of the pet sitting clients, they were like, oh, my husband is going out of town. I know he misses me. He misses our puppy. Could you do some pictures of us for him? And I was like, yeah, sure. When I get done dropping off all the dogs, I'll come back and see you. Because I would actually go house to house, picking up all the dogs all over LA, and then driving up to the mountains, doing our hike, and then driving them all back. So it was an entire day experience. Yeah, lots of traffic.
That's
But
like camp. That is camp.
oh, yeah. So I dropped all the dogs off, and I come back, and this lady, um, most of my clients were like extremely wealthy people, in the LA area, and she had a Malibu house off the cliff, like right above the ocean. It was an awesome house,
Yeah.
and I go, I knock on the door, and to my surprise, she is standing there with just like lingerie on and like a silk robe, and I'm like, those kind of pictures. So
I can do this.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so yeah, she was like, well, I want him to feel like he's here with us, and I would usually, be in lingerie or just like some cute bra and panties when my husband gets home. So, maybe take some pictures like that. And I was like, yeah, totally. I was like, just turn on the TV and snuggle with your dog and like forget that I'm even here. And I just basically walked around the living room and, followed them into the bedroom, and they laid in bed and they were like snuggling and kissing and stuff like that. And that's how I got into Boudoir, was doing that. And then she recommended me to a couple of her friends, and they were like, oh, well, I live in Malibu too, can we do some swimsuit pictures? And I did that.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's how it happens. The word travels, and yeah, good for you. You are resourceful. That is amazing. Seriously.
I try.
I love that. I love that you turned like a downtrodden situation into like and you're an entrepreneur. Like that's so cool that you were able to make something from so little, and you should just be really proud of yourself, because that is not easy, and you were thrown into different situations, and you landed on top. So nice work, and your photography is really beautiful, and I really I love obviously the military ones are my favorite because I just love the emotion that I feel in their faces. Even just like the man you were talking about earlier who had the head injury. I had no idea about that, but there was something just about just his face and his cheekbones and his jawline. It's like you could just feel something, and it was just really beautiful. So really nice work. That's
Yeah, and that was like no editing, no like, because somebody was like, "Oh, it looks like you like highlighted that person or you like edited them." I was like, "Nah, man, that was Jesus, okay? Because that was a beam of light cutting through the clouds, hitting that one dude. Because I didn't do anything to that photo." Right.
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's amazing. No, I really enjoyed that photo in particular for sure. Well, that's a really great
Yeah.
origin story. I did not expect that, but that is, you just never know how someone's going to get started, and that's really interesting. So thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's great.
Yeah, and those military pictures are actually my combat camera work.
Oh, right. And we'll touch on that first. I want to jump into something. This is when you and I first started communicating, and this is when let's say here obviously it was in November following the election, and the story came out about the Dominion headquarters being in Denver, Colorado, and it was like an empty building, and you just straight up got in your truck and drove there. And can you tell us a little bit about that and what you discovered?
Yeah, so actually that started because I was on Instagram. I was back home in Los Angeles, and I saw somebody else's reporting on it, and they were talking about, Dominion had just recently been bought out by a Chinese company, and somebody started looking into their LinkedIn and their Facebook and just doing a deep dive on the company itself and how it just didn't add up, and something was off about this whole situation. And they did a Google Maps search, and they were like, "This is really weird. The company that's in charge of doing our national elections, just it doesn't add up." You know what I mean? Like every bank you go to has a huge sign that says Bank of America or Chase or whatever company they may be, but the nationwide provider for election tiny section of the building and not the entire building. That seemed really weird to him. And then I noticed that all he was doing was just going on Google Maps, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna test this out. Let's see if this is real or not, because there is misinformation, there's fake news. So I was like, well, I want to test this out. I want to see if this is real or this is fake news, because if this is real, this is a huge story. This is a big deal. So yeah, I was in Los Angeles, and as soon as I finished watching that video, I was like, this has to happen now. So I jumped in my car and I drove to Denver, Colorado that night. Yeah, I went and I did an Instagram live from the place, and it was a total fraud. The building was empty. There was a for lease sign on it, so it had clearly been empty for a while. And I even called. There was a lease sign that said, "Call here to make an appointment." And I actually called, and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to set up an appointment to view this building." And yeah, I made an appointment with them. I didn't end up going, obviously, because I was like, that phone call told me everything I need to know. There's clearly nobody in this building. It's a total fraud.
God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Insane.
And that didn't make it to the mainstream media. I mean,
no.
Gosh, it's so disgusting.
Yeah, really sad, because I shared it out with a bunch of people.
I was following you so closely when you were doing that. I was like, oh, how fun. I love investigative work. And I was like, oh, I want to be able to jump in my car and go too. That would be so fun. But I remember I was doing a little legwork for you. I was looking on LinkedIn, trying to get that guy in that video's information. And because he was the one who had a little more detail, but I wasn't ever able to find him. But I thought that was
I searched too, and it was such a huge bummer.
That's crazy. No, that's so crazy. But I love that you did that. So, I mean, it does prove, because you're right. There is fake news, and obviously it's more left leaning, but once in a while we'll get some news feeds that aren't necessarily accurate. What time do we have here? 4:37. Okay. Oh, wow. Kenny, this has gone so fast. We only have 3 minutes left. Dang it. I was going to ask you about this porn star being kicked out of Charlie Kirk's
well, let's talk about it. Brandy Love, because I was actually just talking to somebody earlier about it, and I think Charlie Kirk, in recent months, I think he's kind of lost. There was something else that he posted that I was like, this is total bull. He posted a video of this little boy left behind at the border, and they added subtitles, and it had nothing to do with what was actually happening. I'm like, what the hell, man? So I was upset with that. And then recently, this whole thing with the porn star Brandy Love coming out as a conservative, which, like you said, we have to be present. We have to let people know who we are and what we're about, and that we exist, you know?
Right.
So it's her First Amendment right. You know, what she does for work, that's her art. That's her business, right? And I feel the same pain because I get so many conservatives that attack me for my work, and give me grief and you know, call me names and actually attack me a lot more than leftists do. But that's, you know, like I said, that's her First Amendment right. She can say she's a conservative. She can believe in the Constitution, just like, you know, everyone else. And that's why I sort of, when I saw that, it struck a nerve with me, because I call myself a constitutional conservative, right? I'm not worried about who you pray to. I'm not worried about who you have sex with or what you identify with or whatever. What I care about is the oath that I swore to, which is to the Constitution, to defend the Constitution. You know?
Right. You know what? My husband came home this morning and he was like, "Did you hear about this? Like, what's up with this? I don't think that was cool." You know, and he's like, "Charlie Kirk's a Christian, and we want to welcome all," and, you know, and I was like, let me look into this. So I looked into it, and I was digging into it this morning, and basically this event in particular, she bought VIP tickets. This event was angled towards very young high school and young college age, and part of TPUSA.
But they're all that way. All of those events are young Republicans.
Well, here's what I'll say though. In his rules and regulations, let's just say, for his events, it does say that they will not have somebody that does sexually explicit pictures and images on Instagram in affiliation with them. Now, she was tagging herself at his event, and a bunch of parents of minors grew concerned. Well, so you know what? To me, I don't buy that.
That's total horseshit.
I see both sides.
That was not there before she got kicked out. And you know what? Charlie Kirk follows me. I've talked to him personally on Instagram. So that's BS. That's not true. Not that you're doing bad reporting, but you know, I've talked to Charlie Kirk, and you see my content, so you can't tell me that. You know what I mean? Like, that's so hypocritical and just covering their behind on the way after the fact. You know what I mean? So they were dead wrong for doing that.
My conservative husband felt the same way you did. He didn't like it. I was more looking at the policy, because that's kind of what I do for a living. But and so I was like able to see it from the policy end. But I'm right there with you. We don't want to shut people out. And that's what the right has historically done, I would say. And that's why people that feel like they're on the outskirts, they go left because they feel accepted. I do see concern with that approach, but good. I'm glad we got to talk about it.
I hate that whole, you know, Christian point of view, because, you know, I'm a Christian, but I don't have any problem with that. The problem that I have is that, you know, this Christian point of view is okay, we're going to accept it, but not this other one. So if you're saying you're a Christian organization, then why do you have gay people there? Why do you have trans people there? You know, if you're so ultra Christian and you're, you know, talking about the scriptures and, you know, your beliefs, why was the porn star kicked out? But you have all of these gay headliners that are there and being like promoted by the organization. You know what I mean?
Great
Again,
point.
I don't care what sexuality you are, or who you sleep with, or who you choose to love. That's not my concern. But let's not be
Right.
hypocritical. You know what I mean? If you're
Right.
going to do it to this group, do it
Making
to
a great
all groups.
point. I completely see where you're coming from. Like I said, you're not alone. My own husband felt the exact same way, and we were going back and forth on it this morning, and I landed right in the middle. Like I can see it. I'm torn on the Brandy Love situation, Tobacco Man. I am too. I'm like, I don't want to be an ass and tell people because of that industry they can't be a conservative and be at these events. But then, yeah, it's a tough one. But you're absolutely right. We need to be welcoming. We need to do better at that as a whole.
And it's
But
a First Amendment right.
I agree. I agree with you on that. All right, we ran up on time. Juan gave me a few extra minutes because this was a hot topic, and that was fun. I'm glad we got to discuss this. Oh my gosh, Kenny, you were so fun. This has been a great segment. Thank you for coming on. I need to have you on again and dive deeper into some hot topics because I feel like we have.
I'm all about it.
All right, good. I look forward to banter again. And you have a great evening.
You too. See ya.
All right. Thank you. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was fun. I'm glad we got to go in on the, I almost said Courtney Love, on the Brandy Love situation, because that just came out this morning. And I really wanted to dive into thoughts and opinions on that. It is a tough one for me. So anyways, after me, so last night, you guys, I have to tell you, I was up late, pre-recording a show with a few friends. They pre-recorded, they usually go live. They pre-recorded with me so that they could have me on. My schedule was too busy this evening to go live again. But so please, right after me, we're going to have Reason Being, and I was their guest. And that was an interesting segment. I really enjoyed myself. 20 minutes. It's a short one. It goes fast. Please hang on. And then following Reason Being, we're going to have Counterculture Mom, that other new show. I believe this is the third week in a row that she has aired. And after that, we have Loaded Mike. And also, don't forget that we are in a partnership with MyPillow, with Mike Lindell. He's a raging patriot. Love the guy. The phone number is right there on the screen. Discount code RAM. You don't have to do it on the phone. You could do it on the website. Just remember to use that discount code for a good discount. And it tracks back to us, giving us the legitimacy we need as a news outlet. Thank you so much. I will see you next week.